Now, I've interviewed James Lane on the radio before, and then also today again on the radio. And I had Chris Emery, the producer of the film, on it, and they covered a lot of great information. And Holland Vandennieuwenhof has been obviously here at the office before whenever he shot the new film, A Noble Lie, Oklahoma City, 1995. And so he's going to join us here today. He's the writer and researcher for the film. This is the only modern film in the last decade since the 16-year-old tragedy in Oklahoma City at the Alfred P. Murrah building, the only modern film and the most professional ever made. And it's got many of the victims, many of the eyewitnesses in it. It really is an incredible achievement, and it's so important now because, as we know, those that don't know history are doomed to repeat it. It's so critical right now that we understand that they're gearing up to stage these events again. And they're so arrogant, they've had all these top globalists basically bragging and saying a new Oklahoma City will help us get our agenda through. In the Financial Times of London, you name it. It's super creepy. And so I want to encourage everybody to support the filmmakers, also the Infowars operation, but more importantly, get a tool to wake up others and to show your friends and family and to go to Infowars.com and get it, because if you order by Sunday night, we can guarantee it can be shipped out to you before Christmas. So Infowars.com or 888-253-3139, and then have viewing parties, show it to your friends and family so that they understand false flag terror, because if we expose that system, we checkmate the globalists where they cannot continue these Reichstagian self-inflicted wound operations. So again, James Lane, who is the director, and Holland Vandennieuwenhof, join us to break this down. Holland, every time I get you on, I butcher your cool name. Did I get it right the second time?
The first time you got it right, it's Vandennieuwenhof.
All right, Vandennieuwenhof. So easy when you hear it. I can barely say Jones. Good to have you here with us, gentlemen. You spent 2 years making the film. Briefly, Holland, break down what you think is so powerful about the film and why it's so important. And then let's launch into, because I got into the question today, who do we know is involved at the highest levels in the cover-up and in the bombing itself? And what are some of the other key points we didn't cover on the radio?
Well, what's unique about this film is that we were able to compile the amazing trail of evidence compiled by independent investigators, police officers, and so forth, and the Oklahoma Bombing Investigation Committee over the past 16 years, package it, and show it to the American people, because all of this information, most of it has been reported before, but the mainstream media just won't cover it. Also, we've been able to break new ground with our own investigation. This was half movie making, half investigation. We've talked to witnesses who have never exposed themselves before, who have never talked to the public or put their name out there before, to expose this information about the bombing.
One thing that we try to do in this movie, Alex, is actually boil it down to the most provable essence. If not, it would have been a 10-hour movie. This is going to be the last time that, people are going to be able to hear the actual eyewitness testimony of people that were actually in that building. They said this is the last time they're going to do an interview. We just want one cohesive package that encapsulates the entire event. If you know everything about the bombing or nothing, you're going to walk away with something new from this, because we cover the information that was garnered by the Oklahoma Bombing Investigation Committee. We cover the official story, and then we deconstruct it. Then we get into some of the newer information that folks like Jesse Trinidad, who you've had on the show before, the information that they've uncovered most recently through FOIA requests and lawsuits that he's done against the FBI and the DOJ.
James and then Holland, crystallize in 2 minutes each the key evidence of Oklahoma City and the motive.
Well, what we can demonstrate is that the Ryder truck bomb, for one, was not the sole cause of destruction to the Murrah building, that there were other people also involved who assisted McVeigh, and these people were ignored by the U.S. government, that some of these people were U.S. government informants. We have the paper and named them by name. We named some of the agents involved. We named some of the government figures involved. Terry Nichols, in prison, gave an affidavit, and he has nothing to gain by lying about his role. He is suffering under 2 life sentences. He's never leaving jail. He named Larry Potts. Tim McVeigh had told him that Larry Potts, assistant director of the FBI, was in charge of the operation that culminated in the Oklahoma City bombing. Louis Freeh, head of the FBI, is now retired and now in charge of the Penn State investigation, the child abuse scandal going on there, so we can be assured that truth and justice will not be achieved in that matter, as it was not achieved in Oklahoma City. The victims here we have shown this movie to the people involved, people who are in the building. They approve of our endeavors. They know, they want the story out. We were lied to about every aspect of the bombing, top to bottom. What is amazing is that they were able to get away with it, and that the mainstream media did not cover all of these points in a cohesive package. The American people can see it and say that this is a lie, and why is it happening? This can all be erased, all our doubts erased by releasing the security videotapes that surround the Murrah building that showed exactly what happened, who drove that truck, what exactly happened at the building. 16 years later, they say they don't have them, or they're lost, or that the tapes they have released, they're all having their tapes changed at the same time, 9:02 a.m., which is ridiculous. The official story and its excuses are very implausible. And if once the American people see this, they'll come to understand the true nature of terrorism and question everything that their government says from now on.
Absolutely. And then, they say that the primary explosive was ammonium nitrate and fuel oil that was in the Ryder truck that day. We've got eyewitness testimony from the survivors of that building. I mean, who are you going to believe? The people that were actually there, or the people that are trying to push the official story? They said that the building was coming down 8 to 10 seconds before the truck bomb went off. They thought it was an earthquake. They had enough time to get under their desk before the glass blew in. According to the FEMA report, that blast wave from the truck was moving at 1,300 feet per second. The story just doesn't hold water according to the people that were actually there. When you add that with the fact that we've got Brigadier General Parton, who does an analysis of the bombing, showing where the additional ordnance would have been placed. You've got Dr. Samuel Cohen, the inventor of the neutron bomb, saying that it would be against the laws of physics, no matter how much ammonium nitrate and fuel oil was used, to bring that building down. We've got a report from Eglin Air Force Base where they constructed a single larger explosive, set it off to next to a weaker structure, and it did less damage. It was their conclusion that there had to be additional ordnance inside the building. We've got Officer Terrence Shakey, real hero that day, saved 8 people's lives, but he was on the scene within minutes. One of the hallmarks of an ammonium nitrate and fuel oil bomb is a nitric gas cloud. Be it in Ireland, be it 41 years ago at Sterling Hall, where the ammonium nitrate bomb was set off, the first 26 responders were hospitalized from the inhalation of nitric gas. That did not happen, and Terry Yakey saving people from the building that day within minutes proves that there was no nitric gas cloud.
All right, I want to add a key piece of evidence here, and Holland, you started to get into it. Not one, not two, but 3 different high-level FBI agents, including Larry Potts, the deputy director, head of counterterrorism, said he was in Dallas, took a Southwest Airlines flight. Even mainstream media said there were no flights going in that day at that time. Then he said, I drove. This is a guy caught like in a movie. I did this, I did that. Hotel receipts of him the day before, which people knew to look into because he'd been seen. So right there, we know they're on the ground. It fits into what McVeigh and others had said. They needed to go after the states' rights movement that was centered around Oklahoma. They needed to demonize the growing militia movement. They needed to kind of cover up what had happened at Waco with the FLIR footage and the killing there that was coming out in Congress right at that time. Bill Clinton told USA Today on Air Force One right after being elected, he said, I owe my reelection to Oklahoma City. And now their advisors today, we covered on the radio. There's a whole bunch of them, perhaps you can talk to this, are saying we need a new Oklahoma City to blame domestic groups. I mean, that's how dumb they think we are. And we're right up to the same point. And talk about Potts, but then I want to expand into Eric Holder, who was involved in the cover-up. We've got his emails, thanks to the lawsuits with Jesse Trentadue and others, getting the information through FOIA. But we have Holder running a false flag with tens of thousands of guns into Mexico and drugs back into the U.S. That's now all confirmed. We knew it back in January of this year. I mean, this is big medicine. This is big news. If they ship thousands of guns into Mexico and kill hundreds, why wouldn't they stage this? I mean, it shows. And then the memos, ABC, CBS got them, where they said, we're going to do this to blame the Second Amendment. There's a false flag confirmed.
Exactly. Operation Fast and Furious is making the headlines right now, where it shows that the ATF is documented, along with the FBI, was shipping guns to Mexico. That has killed thousands of people. And Eric Holder, the Attorney General of the United States, responsible for enforcing the laws of the land back in 1995, he was in charge of the FBI investigation, the Department of Justice investigation into the Oklahoma City bombing, and in charge of the cover-up of the murder of Kenneth Trentadue in federal custody. We have his emails where he talks about the Trentadues and Trentadon'ts on how to cover up the story. And the Trentadue story led directly to Oklahoma City. So what you have in the headlines now is Holder implicated right now in a false flag operation that has killed thousands of people.
Yeah, you're right. Let me stop you because the Mexican government and the U.S. admit over 2,000. You're right. It's not hundreds. It's thousands. And it's at least 6 cops and Border Patrol on our side. Please continue.
So we have him implicated in what is now being reported in the mainstream media as legitimately a false flag operation. Holder, back in 1995, was in charge of another false flag operation, the Oklahoma City bombing. This is why this movie is so timely. We're showing that it's a continual pattern, and if these people are not held accountable for their crimes, they rise up in power and they may commit even greater crimes.
Every time the body count goes up, that's why we have to hold them accountable. And this movie is going to be a tool because it's so easy to poke holes through the official story of the Oklahoma City bombing. They've gotten a little more sophisticated, more recently, but the Oklahoma City bombing story is just so easy to disprove.
And the American people haven't seen it in this platform, just destroyed from top to bottom. It holds absolutely no water. And what we can conclusively prove with this movie, at the very least, is that the official story is a lie.
All right, well, I want to give you guys about a 95 on film review, and I think I can only give one of my films a 95. I mean, I want to be honest with folks here reviewing the film that the information is 5 stars, 100%. The quality of the high-def footage has never before been seen. We got the original TV tapes. Everybody just had grainy stuff. The interviews you got with survivors, all these people, amazing. There's a few areas, and this happens in my films, where there's on-the-fly interviews, the audio's a little hot or a little low. But overall, for your first film, I mean, it's just incredible, and it shows the passion that you guys brought to this. I mean, this is really a powerful film. And I know a lot of people out there with a lot of influence watch this show, listen to this show. Listen, none of us are safe if we don't expose this. So I mean, I just want to say people should get the film. I mean, it's not going to film festivals. It's not going through that whole route. It's right to the public, and it's up to the people for a noble lie to have the effect it should. I mean, if this got seen 35 million times for free online, I know soon it's going to come out online, like Obama deception has had, imagine how this would hurt the globalists, because their secret weapon is false flag. It is their go-to zeitgeist. We got to take that weapon away from them.
Exactly, and what this movie does is it shows the methodology of state-sponsored terror. At the time of the Oklahoma City bombing, there was a patriot movement in this country. People were talking about a restoration of the Constitution, the expansion of the police state powers. They were resisting the anti-terrorism legislation that was trying to be passed. After the Oklahoma City bombing, it completely silenced anybody that opposed the globalization agenda. Even to this day, if you oppose the expansion of government power, you're a McVeigh. They love to throw that term out. And then about the time the Patriot movement started to get renewed, we had 9/11, same pattern. It shows Oklahoma City was a precursor to 9/11. I mean, after the event, the Patriot Act passed. Everybody was begging, to have their freedoms taken away. Prior to 9/11, they never would have accepted it. And now we have a new Patriot movement moving in this country, and exposing these events is going to take away their false flag power, because, I mean, just like Kurt Haskell, where, I mean, he said that he wanted to make sure that the underwear bomber case was exposed because he knew there was something wrong with 9/11. This shows that people in this movement are having an effect, and we are taking the tools away from the New World Order and not allowing them to murder people and ride our ashes to their own political ends.
Holland, let's get more into your list there from your research, because you guys are there in Oklahoma. Some members of your team over a decade just obsessed with this, because you should be. It's a mass murder, and the government did it. My God, this is incredible. And it's incredible how they've used it, undoubtedly, to take our liberties and write public memos about how wonderful it was. That's their total arrogance at us, because they know the public's naive. It's time to stop being children and admit this. Let's go over some more of the nasty people who were red-handed there, part of the operation. I mean, you've got the governor's brother. What about him publishing a book before the thing where a Tom McVeigh is part of the secret circle or whatever and blows it up? I mean, this is incredible.
Some of these facts are just so amazing that they wouldn't even pass the plausibility test in a fiction story. We have the brother of the Oklahoma governor at the time of the bombing, Frank Keating, his brother Martin Keating, who is a self-admitted insider in military intelligence, writes a book called Final Jihad. According to the publisher, this book was written in 1992. This is about the time, mind you, that McVeigh was being recruited for secret government activities out of the Army, according to his own admission. Martin Keating writes a book called Final Jihad, which features a character named Ted McVeigh, who tries to bomb a federal building in Oklahoma City, a plot that is foiled by a state trooper. Now we take that fiction, that so-called fiction, we look at the reality that was presented to us the day of the bombing, is that McVeigh gets arrested after the bombing in Oklahoma by a state trooper. Now, this obviously is not a coincidence, and then no one can defend that. Obviously, there was inside knowledge on the part of the governor's office. We have talked to people who have traced a call from the governor's office to Walter Reed Army Hospital.